I still can't get over how fast everything collapsed the moment Jocelyn started asking the wrong questions. One minute she was getting dangerously close to the truth, and the next she vanished completely. No warning, no real trail, nothing, except this growing feeling that something much darker has been happening behind the scenes the entire time. And the more I think about it, the more it feels like this was never just about silencing her. It feels bigger than that, more permanent, more terrifying. Because if Nathan is really Cassius, and honestly, it seems more and more obvious that he is, then Jocelyn became a threat the second she noticed the cracks in his story. I don't think people fully understand how dangerous that makes her. She wasn't just suspicious. She knew too much. She had enough pieces to expose everything, and someone like Cassius was never going to risk that getting out publicly. What really unsettles me is the possibility that Jocelyn may not even be his final target. I keep thinking about the way he operates. Quiet, controlled, calculated. He doesn't lash out emotionally unless he absolutely has to. So if he kidnapped Jocelyn instead of simply scaring her off, then something else is happening behind closed doors. Something experimental, maybe. Something connected to memory manipulation, psychological conditioning, or even drugs powerful enough to erase parts of her mind entirely. And honestly, it seems like that may already be happening, because why keep Jocelyn alive at all unless Nathan believes he can reshape her into someone harmless? If she disappears forever, people will ask questions. Carly would burn the entire town down looking for her. Jason would never stop. The WSB would get involved eventually. But if Jocelyn returns confused, unstable, unable to remember anything, that changes everything. Suddenly, Cassius stays protected while Jocelyn becomes the unreliable one. That possibility chills me because the truth may be far more complicated than a simple kidnapping storyline. And the worst part, Britt may have accidentally caused all of this. I honestly think Britt is reaching the point where guilt is starting to consume her. She warned her brother about Jocelyn. She exposed the fact that Jocelyn was WSB. Maybe she thought she was protecting herself. Maybe she thought she was preventing conflict before it escalated. But no one expected Cassius to react this violently. Even Britt probably underestimated how unstable and paranoid he has become. And now she's trapped in this horrifying situation where she knows exactly who Nathan really is, but exposing him could destroy her too. That's what makes Britt fascinating right now. She's standing between survival and redemption. Part of her probably still fears her brother, but another part of her seems desperate to undo the damage before it's too late. I think that's why her possible exit plan with Lucas suddenly matters so much. At first, it sounded simple. Britt and Lucas leave town quietly. Start over somewhere else. Escape Sidwell's influence. But now it feels like their escape is tied directly into Jocelyn's disappearance. And it could be the writers are setting up a disaster none of them can escape from. Because before Britt leaves, she needs those Huntington treatment vials. And that brings everything back to Windermere. I can't stop thinking about how suspicious this setup feels. Sidwell controlling the property, Lucas being close enough to snoop around unnoticed, secret medication hidden somewhere inside that massive estate. It already sounds dangerous before Jocelyn even enters the equation. But once you add her captivity into the mix, suddenly Windermere stops feeling like a mansion and starts feeling like a prison compound. And if Jocelyn is really being held there, Britt finding her would completely change the trajectory of this story. I actually think there's a strong chance Britt and Lucas stumble onto Jocelyn by accident while searching for the medication. Maybe they hear something. Maybe Lucas notices a hidden room. Maybe Britt recognizes signs that her brother has been using the estate for something secretive. Whatever happens, I don't think they go there expecting to rescue anyone. That's what makes it more dramatic. Because the moment Britt sees Jocelyn alive, terrified, drugged, possibly barely coherent, every ounce of guilt comes crashing down on her at once. And I honestly believe Britt would try to save her immediately, not because she suddenly becomes heroic overnight, but because this may be her only chance to reclaim whatever humanity she has left. But that's where everything becomes explosive. Because people like Sidwell and Cassius don't leave loose ends. And Pascal worries me the most in all of this. There's something about Pascal that feels unpredictable in the worst possible way. Sidwell manipulates, Cassius schemes. But Pascal feels like the kind of person who acts instantly once an order is given. No hesitation, no conscience. Which means the second Britt and Lucas attempt to free Jocelyn, the danger escalates from secrecy to outright violence. I keep imagining this terrifying scenario where Britt finally unlocks the room holding Jocelyn, maybe thinking they still have time to escape quietly, only for Nathan to already be standing there waiting. And honestly, it seems like he may already suspect Britt's loyalty is slipping. That's the detail nobody is talking about enough. Cassius is paranoid, hyper aware. If Britt suddenly starts asking questions or acting nervous, he's going to notice. He may have allowed her close because she was useful, but usefulness only lasts until betrayal enters the picture. So if he catches Britt trying to rescue Jocelyn, I don't think he'll see her as his sister anymore. I think he'll see her as a liability. And that opens the door to the darkest possibility yet. Because I genuinely believe Cassius may be capable of shooting Britt himself, not out of rage. That's the scary part. I think he could do it calmly, rationally, as if eliminating her is simply necessary to protect the larger operation. This could mean that the real monster underneath the Nathan identity is finally about to emerge completely. Or maybe he won't pull the trigger personally. Maybe that responsibility falls to Pascal. And somehow that possibility feels even worse because it suggests Nathan no longer wants blood directly on his hands. He just gives orders now. Detached, cold, like someone who crossed the line so long ago that morality no longer exists for him. I also can't shake the feeling that Sidwell may have deeper plans for Jocelyn than anyone realizes. What if her captivity isn't only about silence? What if the WSB angle matters more than we think? Jocelyn has connections, training, knowledge. It's possible Sidwell sees value in breaking her psychologically and using her somehow later. That would explain why she hasn't been killed already. And if that's true, then Britt discovering her could trigger a chain reaction. None of them survive. Because once Jocelyn escapes, the entire fake Nathan secret risks exposure. Britt risks exposure. Sidwell's operation risks exposure. Suddenly everyone becomes desperate, and desperate villains are always the most dangerous versions of themselves. I also wonder whether Lucas fully understands what he's walking into. He may think this is about medication and escape plans, but the truth may be far more complicated. The second he helps Britt search Windermere, he unknowingly becomes part of a war between people who kill to protect secrets. And I don't think Lucas is prepared for that world. What makes this storyline work so well is that nobody feels safe anymore. Not Jocelyn, not Britt, maybe not even Lucas. Every character is carrying information that could destroy someone else. Every decision feels one step away from catastrophe. And honestly, I think the emotional core of all this is Britt realizing too late that her brother was never salvageable. She may have spent months convincing herself there was still humanity left in him. But watching him imprison Jocelyn, possibly drug her, possibly erase her mind, that changes everything. That forces Britt to confront the horrifying reality that Cassius may have been manipulating everyone from the beginning, even her. And if this rescue attempt happens, I don't think it ends cleanly. I think somebody gets hurt badly, maybe fatally, because no one expected this fake Nathan storyline to spiral into something this sinister. At first, it felt like deception. Now it feels like psychological horror hiding inside a soap opera. And the scariest part is that Jocelyn may already be losing herself while everyone else is still trying to find her. So what happens if Britt reaches her too late? What happens if Jocelyn comes back alive but no longer remembers the secret that nearly got her killed in the first place?